So hey everyone, welcome back to the UX Kitchen. This is the second episode for the UX UI portfolio do's and don'ts, and I have some additional thoughts we're going to cover this time. Now, if you missed the first episode, you can watch it here, and I really recommend you check it out. There's some valuable insights there. Just to recap it very quickly, we went through what kind of tools you could use to create your portfolio. We set some principles, for example, that you have a very limited time to make your employers or clients want to see your portfolio. Therefore, prioritization is very important. Make it easily scannable. So if I open up your portfolio, put the most important and visually more engaging content on the top. So it's easy for me to access. I I see some beautiful stuff, okay? So most of the portfolios that you create and the tools you use to create a portfolios looks great on desktop device. The truth is, in a lot of cases, it's going to be opened from mobile. If you send me an email of your portfolio and I open it from my mobile, then I'm going to have my first impression on a mobile device. From a practical standpoint, this really means that what works well on desktop might not work well on mobile. Just think about the amount of text that you are using. If you use a lot of text on desktop, then it means that I have to scroll a lot on your portfolio on mobile to get to the good stuff. Another great thing that you can do is to have a PDF version of your portfolio. A PDF, it's more like a presentation. You can take your clients, take the viewer by the hand and walk them through in like a specific logic. You can showcase your work however you want it. You can use the works that you are not allowed to publish or showcase publicly. I know that this is a frustration and this is something a lot of designers suffer from, that if you are not allowed to showcase your work publicly, or you have to blur out parts of it, or the whole thing is protected by an NDA. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that if you have a PDF portfolio and you send it to somebody, then it's not just like a link because they open it, they probably download it as well. You would be surprised, but I've seen a lot of people even printing out portfolios, which doesn't make any sense, because if you print it out, like in black and white, then it's like, what's going on? They downloaded it, they have it on their computer. You send me your portfolio, and I downloaded it. Until I remove it, it's there. It's like, hello, I'm a portfolio. I need your feedback and such. If you send it via email, in the attachments, I can see that. I can see that, like the thumbnail of it. So I'm more intrigued to check out your portfolio other than clicking on the link. Another question that comes up frequently is that, what if I have a project, it was good and I had designs, but then I had to change it, like based on client requests. One thing that you really have to consider is that, is it good enough to put it on your portfolio? Only showcase the best pieces of your work. Don't put everything in it. Don't put in too much projects. I would limit the number of projects that you show into 3 or 4, because to be honest, if they are good, they will help the other party to make a decision. If there's just too much information, it wouldn't help you, to be honest. It doesn't replace coming up with good portfolio pieces and coming up with good text and a beautiful layout for it, okay? So the second thing to consider is that you can beef up the designs from time to time, so you can change it so it would look better, okay? It's not a problem, it's not evil to change the designs and clean them up or beef them up from time to time. I wanted to use a project of mine, but I only delivered wireframes because at that time, that was the output or the deliverable that was required. But I wanted to put in my portfolio in a way that it's very visual, so I wanted to edit the UI. And for like 2 or 3 screens, I created the UI. You see, it doesn't cost me a lot of time, and it was a great project. There were great interfaces. I even tweaked a few things in the interface to even make it better and to showcase, like my skills and talent. So always think of your portfolio pieces as something that you have the ability to further work on and further improve it. It doesn't matter what you do. The outcome is what matters. Because I, on the other side, who's about to hire you, I'm interested in your thought process, your skills, your design taste. So I'm going to look at the designs and I won't think about that. Is it something that you agree with, or is it just coming from the client? It's you, okay? To sum it up, let's recap how I would build up a successful portfolio, right? I would keep it to the minimum, let's say include my top 3 or 4 projects. I would make it very easily accessible on desktop and mobile as well, and make it an eye candy really. If I'm a UX designer who's, mainly into the wireframes and personas and user journeys and all that, I would choose great, beautiful templates to showcase this. Because let's just make it more feasible. Let's make it more engaging. Even though it's like a persona, and I use my persona templates on a Google Draw document because that's the most practical for me. For a portfolio, I can beef it up and download a great sketch template to make it beautiful. In the start, when you start to explain your project, make sure that if there's something visual, and there should be something visual like a mock-up or a design, a photo or anything related to a project, make it pop. Then give me a little description or summary of your project. So what was your role and responsibility? What was the project? But just really short, punchy sentences. The responsibility is very important because I want to know that what did you do in the project, okay? So don't just put in UX, UI designer or whatever. Make sure that you list out all the stuff that you did. So if you were like a one-man UX team, I want to know it. Okay, so you did the product workshop, you created all the deliverables for the UX part of it, you did the UX research, you recruited the participants, you did the wireframes, you did the UI, you tested that, you did the front-end development, anything, okay? So, because obviously there's a position, but the responsibilities is something that you can elaborate on. This way, I have a quick glance at the project and I know that what you did, I have some eye candy to look at, so I'm intrigued to know more about the project. Moving on, you want to make sure that I get the process you followed through the project. Don't go into a lot of details, so make it optional for me to decide that whether I want more information on a particular step in the process or I just want to, skip along and go to the designs. So for example, I have a clear an infographic or whatever content table at the beginning which clearly highlights and showcases your process. And if I'm interested in, for example, I want to learn more about how you created the personas or what was the test results or whatever, provide me options to go into more details, use pop-ups, expand and collapse sections on the site. There's lots of ways to do that. When it comes to interfaces, less is more again. Don't put 10 screen there, okay? And make sure that you explain that what is there on that screen, what are the challenges, and why do you choose that particular design solution. These can all be very helpful. One thing that you really need to consider, especially if you're into more complex applications, so you want to showcase your skills in creating processes and complex flows. Think about something like a video or something interactive that shows me how can I use the product. Because to be honest, most of us on the other side won't take the time to understand the connection between the interfaces. So let's say you have a mobile app and I show 6 screens. All right, I'll go and check out each screen and have a good idea of what kind of interface skills that you have, what are the mistakes that you make, and so on. But I won't take the time probably to think through that, okay, this screen is connected to this one, or this process is like elaborated in this way. And this is a problem because this is one of the most important skills that you can have as a UX designer. So for example, linking to an interactive prototype, that could be great. Or creating like a short screencast of an interacting prototype that I can just see and go through that. Okay, you click there and it works here. And I have a great picture of how do you build up the process. So that's like a good tip. Another tip I would say for the last, it's really like an expert advice, if you will, that as a designer, one of the things that I want to evaluate in your designs is how well you can handle white space and the proportions on the design. I need to see it in the device. So if it's for desktop, that use a mockup which would show me the proportions, okay? Because if that's just like a mobile screen, but I can't put it on my phone, so I can't see that. Are those elements big enough to tap on? What about the typography? You using the right font sizes and the right line heights? I cannot check without getting access to the source designs. So a good way to overcome this problem is to put it on like a device. So if you're designing for mobile, make sure that I see the mobile frame or for desktop. It helps a lot for professional designers to evaluate your work. So as a last takeaway, I really recommend that you spend enough time building up your portfolio. I know it's a pain in the ass, and you might think that it's better to spend that time with clients, your client work, or getting clients. But trust me on this, a good portfolio is essential for a designer. You can get hired based on your portfolio. You can get more clients based on your portfolio. So it does matter, all right? So that was it. That was my tips on building up a successful UX portfolio. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so you wouldn't miss the next episode. And see you next week.